So, hello there, and welcome back to another Night of the Movies video. I'm, of course, Spike Knight, and in these videos, I love talking about things, movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's video, I'm reviewing The Drama. So, let's get into it, shall we? The Drama is this new film starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, and the premise for the film goes as follows. A happily engaged couple, played by Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, their relationship gets put to the test when an unexpected revelation sends their wedding week off the rails. And that premise alone got me interested. Actually, that's excited about seeing the film, because that premise is quite clearly stated in the trailers for this film. And whenever I'd see the trailers for this movie at the cinema over the past couple of months, I was like, okay, what's the revelation going to be? Because they hide it in the trailers. And I was like, oh, is it going to get me? Is it going to be something that I don't see coming at all? And well, I didn't see it coming, I'll say that now. But yes, I was very intrigued to see what the revelation was going to be that sends their wedding week off the rails. And I thought this film was just going to be full of all this drama, hence it being called The Drama. Plus, I am a fan of Robert Pattinson. I've been a fan of him ever since, I've been a fan of him ever since Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. But also, I like him in films like Good Time, and I thought his version of the Batman was very interesting. And I like Zendaya in pretty much everything she's in, whether it's the Dune movies, the Spider-Man movies, or even The Greatest Showman, which is a film I'm not a fan of, you know. These are two actors, the two actors leading this film are two actors that I quite like watching in films, which helps because they seem to be in a lot of movies nowadays. So yes, with them two in the lead roles, I thought this was going to be a great film. I really did. I went into the cinema earlier today, quite excited about seeing it, hoping for the best, particularly because it's been receiving pretty positive reviews, you know, since the reviews came out about a week ago now. So yes, I'd say I was excited about seeing this film. And after seeing it earlier today, like I'm recording the review literally just after I got back from watching this movie at the cinema, after seeing it earlier today at the cinema, here's what I'll say. There's a lot to like when it comes to this film. There's a lot to like about it. But the film left me feeling underwhelmed. It left me feeling quite underwhelmed at that. I think there is interesting stuff in this movie. Some really interesting stuff in there, actually. But the thing that you go for, I don't really think you get enough of. You go for the drama. I mean, this film is quite literally called The Drama. You go to watch all the drama in this film, and in my opinion, there isn't enough of it. You know, there is some kind of entertaining drama that goes on, particularly towards the end of the film. Like, there's one scene in the movie, and by the way, I'm not going to go into spoilers. This is a spoiler-free review. I don't like doing spoiler reviews, really, because I always feel like I'm going to get them wrong. So, yes, this is a spoiler-free review. There's a scene towards the end of this film where there's about 4 or 5 characters who are giving the evil eye to one another. And I was like, okay, this is good, this is okay, but it could be so much better. I wanted, like, 15 characters in one room to be giving the evil eye to one another, or one character to be giving the evil eye to 15 other characters, you know what I mean? I wanted there to be more brimming in this film. I wanted this film to almost feel claustrophobic with tension, and I never really got that. The film felt unfocused. Like, when this twist happens, that is heavily heavily hinted at in the trailers. When you find out this revelation about Zendaya's character, which is what the trailer is kind of based all around, and what this film is kind of based around, well, not kind of based around, what so much of this film is based around, when you find out that twist, the film feels like it almost wants to be about something else, you know? And there was interesting stuff about the twist, particularly in this world we're living in today, but it almost feels like it belongs in a different film. And a lot of the comedy surrounding that twist didn't really make me laugh. I won't lie, I laughed about 4 or 5 times watching this film. But it's meant to be a black comedy. It's meant to be this dark comedy, and I didn't laugh nearly as much as I hoped I would. Again, I laughed 4 or 5 times, which is, saying a lot for me, because I have a tin ear when it comes to comedy, but particularly when it comes to comedy movies. However, this film, it felt like its comedy was aimed at people who have a much more darker sense of humour than I do. So I can see a lot of the comedy in this film working for other people. In fact, I was sat quite near to someone in my cinema who was laughing quite a bit throughout the film. So, it's all subjective, but I felt that the twist didn't really lend itself to this kind of a film. Personally, I didn't think the twist worked too much. There was some interesting stuff surrounding the twist, and some interesting ideas like, can somebody change? Is somebody the same from what they used to be? Do they still have the same sort of ideologies, the same sort of ideas in their head? Would you stick with somebody if you knew what they'd done in the past, which was quite dark? There were some interesting ideas there, some stuff that I haven't even touched on, like this whole idea of, would you stick with someone even if they just thought about doing something bad but didn't actually do something bad? Again, there's interesting ideas within the twist, without going into spoilers, but I just felt it kind of belonged in a different film, because when you get to the finale of this movie, it feels like it's more about, the drama surrounding these two characters, and I understand that the twist is a huge part of that, but I was expecting there to be more drama just within the personal lives of these characters. You know what I mean? It's a confusing film, to be honest. Maybe not confusing is the right word. It's a film that I don't think quite decides what it wants to be, and by the end of the film, I wasn't kind of sure how I was meant to feel. I wanted there to be this finale where it felt like everybody was going at each other, where everybody was at each other's throats, and I didn't get that, really. The finale let me down, and looking back on the film, I feel it could have been shorter. I think if it was 90 minutes, it could have been more suspenseful, and I felt like it had a lot of potential. And again, there's good stuff in this film, but I don't feel it quite decides what it wants to be. And I think a lot of the comedy is aimed at somebody that, again, enjoys more darker humour than I do. And the film is directed by, who is it directed by? Let's get his name up here. Christopher Borgley, apologies if I mispronounced his name, who also directed Dream Scenario, which had a great premise, this whole idea of Nick Cage popping up in, Nicolas Cage's character popping up in people's dreams. It was a great premise, and I remember going into that film so excited, and then leaving the cinema so disappointed. And I kind of felt the same coming out of this film. The premise is more exciting than the execution. The premise is more exciting than the way that everything plays out. It almost feels like they got the premise and then they didn't really know how to structure a film around it, so they took the film in a direction that, at least I'll say this, I did not see coming in the slightest, but also I felt was not really fitting for this kind of film, And more than anything, I was expecting there to be more drama. I was expecting there to be more evilising everybody, and maybe it's just because of my expectations. Maybe that's why I was thinking that, because of the way I've seen, drama like this, drama surrounding people's personal lives play out in other TV shows and other movies. But when you call a film the drama, there to be more people at each other's throats. But there wasn't enough of that. It didn't go there enough, It wasn't crazy enough. It didn't have as much tension as it could have. And again, I was hoping this film would feel like it was claustrophobic. I was hoping with this film that I was going to feel like I was drowning in tension, and that I couldn't wait to go out the cinema because of the way these characters hated each other so much beneath the surface. But again, I didn't really get that, And I was hoping I would. And one last thing, they should have made the characters a lot more likeable in the first 20 minutes to half an hour of the film before the big twist happens. Because after the twist happens, the characters are instantly all more unlikable. But they should have made the characters far more likeable and far more empathetic. The word empathetic keeps coming up throughout the film. We keep getting told that I think Zendaya's character is empathetic, and I'm like, but we never really got that from the start of the movie. Where does that come from? And yeah, I felt they could have done a lot more in the start of the film to actually make me care about these characters and like them. Because honestly, as soon as I met Robert Pattinson's character and Zendaya's character, I was like, these are people I probably wouldn't get along with. And you know what? I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy watching them in the next hour and 45 minutes that the film plays out. It's got a runtime of an hour and 45 minutes, and yeah, I did not enjoy watching them, really. It's got some good ideas. The performances are great, which is one thing I haven't mentioned. The performances are really solid and believable too. And again, there's things to like, but it's a little too long. I know that's kind of a generic criticism, and everybody kind of says that about a movie, but no, in the case of this one, it is a little too long. You could have shaved off 15 minutes, and it almost feels like it becomes about a completely different thing. It's unfocused, and I was hoping for a lot more, Again, I was hoping to get to the end of this movie and almost feel like I needed to take a breath. And that didn't happen. So, again, it has its merits, but it disappointed me. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that the drama, I'm going to say it's a 5 out of 10. I feel bad giving it that rating because, again, there's a lot to like, and I do think this film will easily find an audience. And I also don't think this film's really made for me, But I felt that the twist, more than anything, didn't quite work. It almost felt like the director who also wrote the film, Christopher Bogley, felt like, he had all these great ideas and wanted to put them in one movie, but he didn't quite make them all fit, And I think that comes across whilst you're watching the film, because again, you go and expecting one movie, you kind of get another, and then you kind of get another, and then the film you go in expecting is sort of happening at the end, but not quite in the way you want it to. And at the end of the day, for me, it just didn't have enough drama. And when you call the film the drama, you hope that there's going to be more tension, more people at each other's throats. But I didn't really get that, So yeah, film wasn't for me. Which is kind of actually really disappointing, Anyway, it is what it is. And so, as I already said, I was going to say once more in this review today, the drama is a 5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, that's it for today's review. If you have seen the drama, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. Maybe you loved the movie, or maybe you hated it. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down below. And if you haven't yet, please click down below and like and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed the video, of course. And look forward to many more videos like this coming very, very soon on this channel. As I've already said, thanks for watching the video today, and I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.